Okay, so we have seen recently statistics from the Ministry of Justice which show a sharp rise in the applications for legal aid for domestic abuse cases. Apparently, in January to March 2018, applications for legal aid for domestic violence and child abuse increased by 21% when compared to the same period in 2017. So that's a fact. What we have to do then is wonder, well, why is that? So there are the following options as we see it. First of all, what alienated fathers will doubtless say, and what Families Need Fathers have said, is that there has to be a temptation, doesn't there, that if you allege domestic violence, you'll get legal aid. I mean, that's a problem inherent in the system, surely. It does encourage false allegations, obviously. So yeah, that's where families, Fathers Need Families are coming from. It could also be because in January of this year, the Legal Aid Board, I can't remember what they're called now, something new, relaxed the criteria that one needed to satisfy when providing evidence of domestic abuse. So if you have to provide less evidence, then there are going to be more applications for legal aid. That sounds logical. And finally, so that's explanation number 2, and then explanation or comment number 3 comes from Women's Aid, who say, what do they say? That they are not aware of any cases where mothers have falsely applied for non-molestation orders. Well, as Mandy Rice Davis said about the Profumo affair, they would say that, wouldn't they? I mean, they're not going to know, are they? You're an abused woman, or let's say you're making it all up. Are you going to go to Women's Aid and say, I kind of made all this up? You're not going to say that. They're not going to be aware of those cases, are they? I mean, equally, looking at it from the other side of things, I suppose Families Need Fathers are not going to be besieged by fathers coming along and saying, I've been accused of domestic violence and it's all true. So where is the truth in all this? Maybe there's some truth in all of it. I mean, certainly there's a big problem with the system in that if you allege domestic violence, you get legal aid. So yeah, that's what you want to do, right? Allege domestic violence. And if the criteria that you have to satisfy in order to make your application for legal aid become less and less stringent, then yeah, it's perfectly foreseeable, isn't it, that there are going to be more applications for legal aid. Now, we don't oppose that. I mean, we think that's good. I mean, if women have been the victims of domestic violence, then they should get legal aid. And I think they won a High Court battle or something, didn't they? Or maybe a Court of Appeal case even. And it's, I think, as a result of that, the Legal Aid Authority have said, well, we're just going to relax. We haven't got to have X-rays and stuff like that anymore. And that's Well, that's right and proper, isn't it? Women need to get legal aid to be protected in those situations. Of course they do. The problem with it, though, is that it creates a playing field that is far from level. All of the women who are alleging domestic abuse, domestic violence, whether it's true or not, are getting legal aid. And all of the men on the receiving end of applications to the court for injunctions, or who are trying to get some contact with their kids, but the wives are just saying, no contact for you, you're violent, without any real evidence. And we know that happens a lot in parental alienation cases. They're not getting help from lawyers, and all of the women are. So that's not a level playing field. Now, again, this comes back to something we said before about recognizing psychological abuse as real abuse. Because when you look at parental alienation cases, which seem to be a pretty good example to go by, really, it's not just the child that is being psychologically or emotionally abused. It's also the absent parent, who, not always by any means, but frequently is a man. But let us try, gentlemen, shall we? And go and see a solicitor and say, my ex is psychologically abusing me by keeping me away from my child. Please make an application for legal aid. See how you get on with that one, eh? Let me know.